Good morning. It's Luke Smith, realvacantland.com. I'm trying some new software this morning, so I'm not 100% sure if it's working just right. And some different buttons to hit. It's supposed to stream better. It's a more modernized version of Google's live streaming in feeding software, being able to manage it and see things. So it says, it says stream status is good and everything seems to be flowing. So it looks like it's going. So I'm just kind of run with it. But if you guys would throw a comment in there too, that'd be much appreciated. Um, so here's a picture in the background. This is a property I visited last weekend with somebody that bought the property um, in the past, and we've got it up for sale on the website again. I mean, he he bought the I brought the property, sold the property, and said, Luke, you got to put it back up for sale. So we did some paperwork, signed some agreements, share some profits, and try to sell the thing. So we've got this property. It's 80 acres and just near Barstow and San Bernardino County, California. So I like this particular spot of the property. Let's see if we can see. There's my chair. In the background, well, right here, there's like a fire pit. Somebody had I don't know if you can tell, but there's a road. So this picture is taken from standing on a road looking out over. This is one of the flattest spots in the property. There's a lot more topography to it. But I mean, you could drive a motorhome in there, a large motorhome, and just start camping day one. You just drive right in. It's a good solid road to get in and out of there with a big, Class A kind of motorhome. And so that's 80 acres in San Bernardino County. If you look up San Bernardino County and look for the 80-acre property, that's that one in the background is a picture of that property. Um, there were uh, there were a lot of lizards on the property. I was trying to take pictures of the lizards for my kids. They like seeing pictures of lizards. And then there were some big hawks. Like I think they were red-tailed hawks. I'm not 100% sure what kind of hawks they were, but I think they're red-tailed hawks. And just scoping out the area too. So that's always fun. Um, let's jump into it. I wanted to say that some of the Arkansas deals started coming back. I'm going to throw up the website here in a sec. We'll throw it up in the background. I got it pulled up here. So in previous Monday videos, I asked you guys if you wanted to buy some of these Arkansas properties together, and I said put up $1,500, and I'll go buy. No, that wasn't the deal. What was it? It was 500. I'm mixing up deals. $500 for 10 properties in Arkansas. And so people started sending in money. They started sending in. I said, send in a check or send in some money, and I'll go buy 10 Arkansas properties, and do the paperwork and get them going and get them up on the website. Please don't do that anymore. I don't think there's enough properties to go around. I've been processing the paperwork as fast as I can go. We've been getting them. The first couple of them have been coming out of the chute. They started getting accepted. They started, getting all the paperwork through, started getting them on the website. So there's some of them just coming up on the website now. Some of them started selling already too. So people that paid for those properties, you're probably getting notes from the software, background database software, that which ones you're buying, which ones you're selling, which ones are sold. And it's working its way through. So I got all the paperwork done on the first group of people that sent in money. The second group of people that sent in money, I'm not totally there yet, and I'll keep pushing on it. It'll keep happening. Um, but here's a new one that just went up on the website like minutes ago. This is in Where's this one? Chakut County, Arkansas. So we got a bunch of Chakut County, Arkansas. And I was calling around these different counties in Arkansas, researching the properties that they had. And Chakut County, just seemed to be the easiest one of the group. Like they had a bunch of properties that we could grab. I basically grabbed all of them that looked like the size made sense or more. Look at this. There's power lines. There's a paved street. There's telecommunications box. The regulations are just not there. People keep pointing out in the comments that I'm saying there's no regulations, but there always are. For the most degree, there's no county regulations. So how I should say, there's no county regulations on this thing. It's a better way to say it. But, so there's a bunch of these Chakut ones. There's some more coming. And you can do mobile homes or build whatever you want kinds of setting. I call the county and they say, just build it. And I say, can I put a mobile home there? And they're like, just do it. Can I put a house? Like, yeah, go for it. Do I need a building permit? No. So the state regulates sewer and septic. So you still got to abide by state regulations to get rid of the poo, right? So I wanted to research the state regulations on that. I looked them up in the past and they seem pretty generic. Like it sounded like the homeowner could do it themselves and you just got to abide by their guidelines of septic systems, and it's different calculations depending on the kinds of soil and the size of the house. So there's like a scaled calculation. It's not just a rule of thumb you can run with. And they didn't have limits on the size of the property. It depends more on the soil and the size of the house of what you're trying to do. So this particular property is like in, sixth of an acre, 0.16, I guess is roughly a sixth of an acre, maybe an eighth of an acre. And this looks like one of the neighbors has a mobile home next to their house over here. So this would be a corner lot. It's just grassy field. There's a stop sign and there's a power pole right here. So you could pull a motor home in and literally drive it right off the street into this field and park it. And this pole over here looks like it's already got a hookup. You could probably tie into that without much of any nuisance. There's some basketball hoops on the other side of the street. There's some shade. There's some trees here to give you shade. This is the area. I mean, it's pretty open, friendly looking area. And so we've got lots of these, maybe hundreds of them coming up on the website over the next little while of these mobile home lots. So you can put a mobile home. It's got utilities, paved and everything. I haven't priced this one yet. I'll probably price this one at $499 when I get a chance here to do it. This one just came on before the video. And the website we just got updated like 5 minutes ago as well. So it shows, I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to have it right here or what. I might move it around, but it says how many people have looked at this ad on the website too. And so I was showing some people listings and comparing them to Zillow in the past and saying, our website here, little ruralvacantland.com, we get more people looking at these properties over here than the similar or the same property on Zillow or anywhere else on the internet that I can find traffic data counts to go off of. And I thought that was pretty interesting. So I think if we leave the statistics of how many people look at these properties on ruralvacantland.com, you can compare and contrast and see that for yourselves. So another one that we just got recently on the website here, this one is, I think this is Yasser. Yeah, Yasser Lillingston got this one on the website. He keeps doing these crazy easy terms deals. So look at this. He's asking $10,997 cash or $299 down, and he'll customize a finance plan for you. So if you call, he'll tell him how much you want to pay over time, whatever time frame, and he'll figure it out and come up with a financing plan for you for the property. And so what's the property? He's got, let's see what this is, Torrance County, New Mexico. Here's another place where the regulations are really easy. I don't know exactly what they are here, but I don't think they're much. And so there's houses around the area, and these look like manufactured homes or double wide kinds of homes to me. Yeah, there's classic mobile homes and double wide homes in the area. So I'm thinking you could build, when you can do that, then you can usually build houses and things too. So just by looking at the neighborhood, not pulling up the zoning on this one, it looks like a nice open piece of land that you can do what you want to do with. This looks like some older Google Street Views, probably like 5 or 10 years old cameras when Google was doing it a long time ago. Their cameras have gotten a lot better since then. But just a basic field that you can go for it. 2.65 acres with really easy owner finance. Okay, so let's keep looking. I'm going to answer some questions. Feel free to throw questions in the comments. Here's some more Chillicothe County, Arkansas. And so 0.16 acres, I'm asking $499. I just priced this one like 5 minutes before I started the live video this morning. The neighbors have a garden going on there. The street view didn't go all the way out. Yeah, it stopped right there. But here's your neighbor, and they've got, they're taking care of their yard and stuff, and they like nice bright blue paint. Sounds like fun, guys. And good mailbox here. Trash man shows up. They've got this sweet looking garden. I bet you could grow all kinds of stuff in this climate. And then the road keeps going out where you could put a mobile home or build a house. There's power poles there, so you're at the end of the road. You get the place to yourself. I mean, you got these people as a neighbor, but I mean, well, you got some people over here too. They've got a propane tanks. There might not be gas lines in the area, but there's power and a lot, and it looks pretty darn flat, and it looks like it's good gardening. So it looks like you go have fun here. Nice little street, $499 land. You can put a mobile home on. So I've got a whole bunch of these properties on the website, and more of them coming up all the time. And so take a look at those. Let's hit the comments and see what guys are saying. I got this new software and I'm kind of lost at where everything is. So let me find the comments here. See if I can figure out how to work them. I'm using, here we go. Yeah, so Laurel says, good morning all. Andrew looks good. Hey, yeah, Mike, so it sounds like it's working. Watching from the Arctic. There we go. How far up into the Arctic? We're up by doing some oil drilling or something. Yeah. Says good morning. A bunch of people saying good morning. Curtis, Russia, the Arctic. John Hebert says, hey Luke, I'm going crazy in the city and I need out. I'm looking for something around West Texas in the boonies with no code and cheap. Can you help? Oh, West Texas in the boonies with no code. So I got the search or the maps pulled up. This is, let me change screens. So this is on ruralvacantland.com. And at the top of the page, there's a map search. And also in the description of this video that we're watching or you're watching right now, there's a link to go to the map search. And so you can do that yourself, maybe bring it up on a different screen or something. You play the audio in the background or whatever. But you can pull up this map search on your own computer anytime you want. And you can zoom into the area that you want to look for land. And so I'm going to zoom into West Texas. I'm going to turn the map on, like the political map, so I can see the boundaries of where Texas and New Mexico are. And so if we go into West Texas, this is what I consider West Texas. And so the most of everything we have right now is over by El Paso. And I mean, we've had them down by Big Bend. We've had a bunch of them down here in the past. They're not on the maps anymore because, you know, we don't keep them all on here. But so here's, if we zoom into El Paso, there's a lot of them that are sold, but so El Paso's here. So we're off on the horizons of El Paso. We're in the outskirts of El Paso. There's a bunch of these lots that are available that Curtis is usually the one selling all of them. And so I believe Curtis owns all these green ones. I think they're pretty darn updated. So if we click on these, hopefully it's still updated. Yeah. So one of them, for example, is this 2-acre property. $4,000. 2 acres for $4,000. So if we look at this thing, I mean, there is nothing around. You want a lot in the countryside and no one around? Looks like you can shoot your guns in all directions. Nobody's going to stop you. Nobody around. $4,000. There's a whole bunch of them to choose from. They go from a couple $2,000 to $15,000 or maybe $20,000 depending on how much utilities and neighbors and infrastructure and stuff you want or don't want. The cheaper ones are further off with less infrastructure. The more expensive ones are up next to houses with more infrastructure. They're not always necessarily right next to houses. They're just, they got the more infrastructure and it's cheaper the ones that are more expensive to buy are probably cheaper to develop because the infrastructure is already there, if that math makes sense. Okay. Rod Hall says, hi Luke and Mike Allion. Hi Rod, we just saw you guys at the conference. Northern Alberta, Canada. Ooh, that's up there. Yeah, you're working in the tar sands or one of those projects? Curtis Ruska. Northern Alberta, Canada. I bet you it's cold this time of year. It's getting colder. Iowawa 1. Morning, Luke, and everyone here too. Morning, Iowawa. Curtis Ruska looking for hot places. Yeah, I bet. So a lot of the Canadians that work in Northern Alberta and Calgary and north of there tend to go for the properties in Mojave County. I'm not sure we have any Mojave counties right now, but Mojave County is a county in Arizona and it's by the river. So they like the Colorado River, go play in the river, just go bake your butt off in the desert, right? So if you want to fly down, because you can usually fly down to Vegas, and the flights from like Calgary or wherever up there come down to Vegas pretty cheap, from my understanding. So the Canadians tend to flood from Vegas down into these deserts. And I've sold numerous properties to Canadians in these deserts, especially this time of year. In the past, I used to have a bunch of these properties available. This year, I didn't plan ahead well enough. I don't have them. So here's one here. Let's try this one. There's a 40-acre property in Mojave County. This 40-acre property, Mojave County, is owned by Andy Barnhart. So Andy's right up here. You can see his name and phone number and stuff on the website. If you go look up the Mojave County properties, he's asking $8,995. So you'd have to get like a plane ticket to get down there and go enjoy yourself on this, just shy of $9,000 property for 40 acres. And he's pointing the property out, and it looks like there's a bunch of government land around it. So it probably lives bigger than just the 40 acres that it is. But it's 40 acres in Mojave County. This thing, I'm sure, has more than one view. So I'm wondering if this new counter on the website starts fresh at 0, or if it goes off the counters that are already there in the background. I think it starts fresh at 0. Might get that changed. Yeah, so there's the property. It's 40 acres, classic Mojave Desert, and it's going to be toasty all winter long. It'll get cold at night still, but I mean, cold there is like 40 or 50 degrees. And then in the daytime, the sun comes out by 9 a.m. You're back in your like shorts and t-shirt. It's toasty. You go sit in a lawn chair and just get crayfish red before you go back to your job in northern Alberta. So if you got breaks, that could be a good place to go. And then if you want to go play, there is water over here. This is Lake Havasu. If we turn it to, here we go, Lake Havasu City, Colorado River. This lake is great for boating and driving boats and race boats, speed boats, whatever boats, jet skis and everything else up and down the river. There's a bunch of fishing along in there too. It's probably nowhere near as good as northern Canada fishing, but for Southern California, it's pretty popular for fishing and playing in the water. You can swim this time of year too. So that's one to choose from. Let's see if we have any other Mojaves right now. We might not. We might be all sold out of Mojave except for 40 acre. Well, there saw one here. Nope, sorry, that's bad. Try to get that fixed. Okay, so we'll go get that one fixed. Let me find my place here. So let's go back to the comments. So most all these Mojave ones are sold. That map just needs to be updated. We'll update that. And then there's just that 140 acre. So if you really want bacon hot desert, a big chunk of land, that 40 acre could be a good one coming from northern Canada. You go to town, you go to the restaurants and stuff, and you hear a bunch of Canadian accents. Curtis saying it was -11 this morning. Yeah, soon it'll be -45. Yeah, exactly. It gets cold up there. Lisa First Name Sap is saying in Prescott, Arizona, Luke's got property here that looks pretty nice. Go from 0 to 100, LOL. Yeah, exactly. Prescott is, so let's go put Prescott, Arizona. We've got Prescott, Arizona is north of Phoenix. There's some mountains, and then we fall into Prescott. So Prescott Valley, it's probably not as hot as the Mojave County properties, but it's beautiful. It's more Mediterranean climates. It's more even keel, not totally bacon hot as you can get it in the middle of the winter, but beautiful and expensive. It's really expensive in the area. So I've got one property that is probably not what you would come to from northern Canada to go for. But I mean, if you're coming from the desert areas like Prescott or Phoenix, you probably go to this property. So this property I got here is up in the mountain. and I think it's Mount Union. Yeah, Mount Union's right here. You see all these little roads running around the area. This is Mount Union, and this is between two nice, money and money, right? So Phoenix and Prescott, on either side of it is money, and they're in the deserts. And if you go up the mountain, you get a whole bunch of trees. So if we switch over to satellite, see how green it is here compared to all the deserts around? So as you come up into this mountain, it's got some of the biggest trees, or the biggest trees in Arizona that I know of. And this particular property is 33 acres, and it's full of trees. And if you see the roads coming through here, there's a whole bunch of little cabins. And so people have cabins all over this mountain. And I would like to take Street View, see if I can show something. Come on, Street View. Why aren't you working Street View? Oh, that's it? Come on. So here's a street view of like the next ridge over. So you get a bunch of these trees, big pine trees where people are used to the deserts. And you go up here in the summer and it's alpine, right? It's like cooler, fresh air coming from the trees. And people build their cabins to get out of the desert in the summer where it's cooler, and it's the exact opposite of trying to go from northern Canada to Mojave. But if you get into these areas, let's drive around a little bit. See if I can show you some of this. Yeah, here we go. Let's look at this. So take a look at this intersection. These mountains are full of this. Here's a whole bunch of people's names, right? So we've got, all their cabins. These are people's, this is the signs to their cabins. Their friends are going here. They're having guests over. They're renting the cabin out to somebody when they're not there. And so they put their names out. They're proud of it. This is like my feather in the hat. This is my escape. This is my other place to go. These are the kinds of people that move to Arizona from places like Michigan, where I grew up, where of course you have a second home. You have one by where you work, and then you have one out in the woods somewhere where you have fun. And you go there on the weekends, you go there on the vacations. And I did that as a kid the whole time. My parents worked in the south of Michigan, and we went to the house in the north because that's where it was fun. That's where we could run around, and that's where we could play. And so now here's a for sale sign. There's a lot for sale. And if you look at the prices of these lots, look at this lot for sale. It's a steep hill, right? There's a whole bunch of these hills. But there's a cabin right next door. And here we go. Look at these mailboxes. I love this kind of view. So that's as far as the mailman goes. And then the roads keep going up from there. We got different postings, for sale by owner and different stuff like that, signs. And then you got like 100 mailboxes of people living up in these mountains somewhere. These mountains are scattered with cabins. And people love to go to these cabin lots. And so, here's a little stream going through. That's pretty cool too. But so these cabin lots on the market are, 30, 40, 50 grand for just a little tiny postage stamp piece of land that you can put a cabin on, because you're getting out of the desert, you're getting into the alpine areas of the mountains. And it snows up here in the winter. Here's what is this? Probably about snowplows or something. No unlicensed vehicles, no. But these mailboxes are all ready to get knocked over by the snowplow the way that they're set. You just stand them back up. It's a different climate. It's an extreme. It's a place to go to that's fun, that's exciting, that's different than the land around it. And so people buy these to have their cabins there. And so what I'm trying to say is we got this property that's 33 acres, and it's on the website, this thing here. And I think somebody could take this property and cut it up into pieces, whether it's smaller pieces or bigger pieces, and sell the pieces for more than I'm asking for this land. So the asking price on this particular one is right up here. Is just under $300,000, $297,997. It's 33 acres, almost 34 acres. And if you cut that up, you go get a surveyor. One of the surveyors I was talking to do a three-way split, he was asking for $2,500. And then you have three of these like 11-acre properties, and it's, the 10-acre ones in the area that I was looking at, they go for like $250,000. So you could cut it three ways, um, and sell each one of them off for $250,000 if you give it some time and go get a local realtor or something to market the thing, and you come out way ahead over the almost $300,000 that I'm asking for the property. Or you could get more creative and you could get the surveyor to cut it up more than just three ways. Three ways, I'm talking about three ways because in the state of Arizona, if you make above 10 acres, you stay out of the local regulations. You stay in the state regulations instead of the local regulations when it comes to land division. But if you make a 10-acre property or less, this is my understanding, I'm not a lawyer, dude, disclaimer I'm throwing in there, but from my understanding, if you make 10 acres or less, you fall into the minor land divisions of Yavapai County. So this is Yavapai County, and then they're going to start requiring you to lay out roads and offer, have plans for utilities and things. So if I was going to do that, what I would probably do is I would talk to the water well drillers and drill a large bore well, probably like a percussion kind of a well, hammering over RC, which is just like the drilling for residential. I'd go for like a commercial size well and see how much water I could get off of that to see how many houses that would support, and then divide the property up accordingly and draw in easements to the properties to take the water from the well to the specific properties of the different properties. Basically create my own water district, but just have it as easements so the people that are developing the land have to pay for the pumps and the pipage and all that kind of stuff. I just get the well and figure out how many lots it would theoretically support with the flow you get off the well, and then cut it up accordingly for that and sell the lots off with water. So I think if you sold off numerous smaller lots with water, it doesn't take very many of them to add up to the price that I'm asking for this property, and then some. You can make some pretty darn good money on it without taking on, I don't think, that much risk. So I think that could be one of the best deals I've got on the website for the person that's got the capital to go develop this thing. I don't know. I think it could be a really beautiful project for the right person. So if you're just talking about Prescott, got me thinking about that property. So let's jump back to the maps. Let's leave that property. That's 33 property in Yavapai County, Arizona, if you're trying to look it up on the website. Okay, let's go back here. I'm a high-rise operator. High-rise operator. I don't know what a high-rise operator is. But there's beautiful spots. Okay. Arizona, the spot snowbirds. Look on Luke's website. Yeah, there's a bunch of Arizona properties. Curtis Ruska, cool. Bake is good. Yeah, LMAO. They're building like crazy in Phoenix. Yeah, Phoenix is going. Phoenix is one of the fastest growing cities in the country right now, percentage wise, and number wise, like numbers. Frenchie, I didn't get a notification. So Frenchie, didn't get any notifications on the properties yet. I wonder if you're in the second group. I'm cranking them out as fast as we can. You'll get in there, Frenchie. Should come to the email that you sent. Iowawa, Luke, I did get the notices on these other 7 properties in Arkansas, so no problem. Okay, good. So he started getting some. One of the other guys started getting some Arkansas ones. I just got to catch up with everyone else. Curtis Ruska, I think Arizona will be the place. I like the lack of regulations. Yeah, Arizona's pretty easy regulation-wise compared to lots of the other places. I mean, if you're going south, so you're trying to get south from Alberta, Arizona is going to be closer. You could hit the Phoenix airport or the Las Vegas airport are going to be the 2 major airports you're going to feed in and out of for Arizona. Maybe Tucson, but not really from Canada. I don't think you're flying straight into Tucson. The other places that are really warm, I mean, if you get down along different parts of Texas with their lack of regulations, that could be a nice warm place. Or start going east. I mean, regulations pile up the more east you go. But if you like more humidity, yeah, it's really cheap along the Gulf of Mexico and like Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, those kinds of places. I don't have that much property to choose from over there, but and you get more regulations. Um, Yowawa one, you missed a song property. I don't know. Retiring in a 35-foot fifth wheel trailer. There you go. Yeah, you could tow that sucker down from northern Alberta and pick where you want to go. But I was thinking you're like doing on brakes, flying down. Um, you guys are talking back and forth. You can park your trailer in a lot of these lots in Arizona. Yeah, yeah. So the Mojave County ones, like 40 acre, I don't think it's going to be a problem because the acre, as you get below certain acres, they start slapping more regulations on there. But Mojave, generally, you want to look for agricultural zone land if you want to park your motorhome on the property. Why do I say agricultural zone land? I say agricultural and everybody thinks of like a cornfield or something. That's not necessarily always what agricultural land is. Like agricultural zoning is just a designation on the land that's usually a lot more open to use than residential zoning. So residential zoning, from all the different properties I've looked at, usually has a lot more rules. Like they want you to build a house that's got so many square foot and that's got like, a front door that faces the right direction and windows that are like human can look out them size, and closets in the rooms, and just stuff that makes sense for a home to have. They don't want you to build something weird. They want you to build something that fits into the neighborhood, right? That's the general idea of a residential. But some guys call me and they're like, I want to build a barn, and then I want to have like a piece of that barn be where I live, and then I want to be able to park my 15 collector cars in the barn and my fancy boat projects I'm working on and all my other toys, and I want them to be in the same building that I live in, and I can't do that in the residential zoning. Or I want to be able to pull my RV into the barn and be able to live there but take off in the RV anytime I want. I hear these stories all the time, like all different versions of what the guy wants to do or the people want to do. And I think that's great, but if you're trying to do that, go look for agricultural kind of land. It's like they love the barn, they love the RV. And I think a lot of it stems from where I grew up in northern Michigan, we had cherry trees, and migrant labor would come in and they would help pick the cherries. And there's apple trees too. So when it was the specific time of year to need a lot of labor to make it happen, they came to town. They just showed up like out of nowhere. They knew where to be and when to get paid. And they just show up and they'd work the fields, they work the orchards, they make them happen. Then they disappear and they'd move on to whatever the next crop was. And to be able to pull off that kind of farming, you can't have the regulations that residential has. It's not economic. You're not going to build specific homes for these people that are going to be there 2 weeks or a month out of the year or something. I mean, near where I grew up, they built these cement block cubes and a whole bunch of them in a row, and they had like community showers and community bathrooms and stuff. And these guys would show up, they work the fields, they'd live in these little awful looking cement block buildings, and they take off. You can't do that in a residential area, right? So there's a lot, what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of, that's not the best solution in the world, but there's a lot of farmer lobbyist types pushing for that to keep those regulations out of agricultural zone properties. And it's not just in one specific area. I mean, they do it across the country because they don't want a precedence to get set and make it harder to bring in migrant labor or day labor or whatever you want to call the labor, and make the crops happen when they need to happen. And so if you buy agricultural kind of land, that lobbyist group for the farmers has been clearing the way for you for 100 years or something. As though the rules have been stacking up, they've been fighting them one after another, after another, after another, getting paid for by a lot of the farmers to do that. So go look for agricultural zone land over residential land if you're trying to park the RV on the property. And specifically Mojave County, but lots of these counties is the same kind of thing. Okay. You got that right, Luke. Split it up, nothing but money right now. Yeah, we're talking about the 33 acres in Yavapai County. I mean, The other way to look at it is you buy the 33 acres and you split it up and you keep some for yourself. You take the choice, best, favorite piece of that property, you know, near where the well to feed the thing is going to be, the least pipe you have to run and everything. And you put that all together and then you sell the lots that you made off around it to pay for it, to pay for your cabin that you build on that property, to pay for the roads that you put in, to pay for the water well that you put in, to pay for buying the land in the first place. You need the capital ahead of time to put it all together, but you get your money back if you plan ahead and you parcel that thing off and sell the pieces over time. That's it's like grandpa's recipe for land, right? You buy some land and you sell pieces of it off to pay for the thing. It's been done for hundreds of thousands of millennia, and it still happens. You can still do it. The regulations are stiffer. It's harder to do it, but you got to pay more bureaucracy costs to pull it off. But you can still do it. You can still pull it off in lots of ways. Um, Least first name Sap. Wow, I've heard or seen Harvest Moon a lot lately. Maybe that's a sign. Yeah, there you go. It's an excellent tip. We'll keep the agricultural land in mind. Good deal. Tom Patricia Zach. Good morning, Luke. I was so nice. It was so nice to see you in person. We had no chance to say goodbye. Sorry, guys. Missed you on the way out. We had to leave earlier on Sunday. Any chance that you can share with us your presentation? Yeah. So I gave a presentation on um, the first thing I gave a presentation on was the APN schemes, and so I'm trying to think of the best way to present this on the fly here. So let's jump into the website ruralvacantland.com. So we've got this property pulled up here, this 33 acre one in Yavapai County, Arizona. I was just talking about. And so if I take the APN number of this thing and I throw it into some other software, I'll try to explain it as I'm pulling up the software. So this APN scheme, it's like a social security number, if you will, for a person. The APN number is assessor parcel number. So assessor parcel number is the number for the property. And so that's how we keep track of properties. So it's how the county keeps track of properties, and as a land dealer, that's how I keep track of properties. So this is in Yavapai County, Arizona. And I got this software I pulled up here is called Agent Pro 24/7. You might have Title Pro 24/7, and the background of this is all Black Knight data. So Black Knight is a company that's got a bunch of real estate data, and they've got numerous different software avenues that they get this data out and they sell this data to people. So this is one of the pieces of software that they promote their data in. You can buy deeds, you can buy, locations of properties, you can buy all kinds of information out of here, right? So I use the software for lots of different things, but I'm going to show you how to use it for an APN scheme pricing. And this was part of my presentation. So this property is the one we just looked up. Here's the property lines of it, and there's a bunch of trees. It's a nice big property, the weird shape and stuff. Got a bunch of little cabin lots over here. I think cutting that thing up into cabin lots would make a bunch of money. But so let's zoom out. We're going to see the whole county here somehow. And so let's say I wanted to buy more of these properties and say, okay, so this thing, this number, let me make it bigger on the screen so I can present it better, maybe. Do you have a view? Let me use a different piece of software. Well, here we go. Okay, so let's make it a little bit bigger so you guys can really see it. So I'm going to try to explain these numbers. What the heck do these numbers mean? Okay, so this is the APN number for a property in Yavapai County that we were just talking about. So historically, the way that we kept track of properties was by book, page, and then the property number on that page, and then if it's split up even more, the split of that property. And it's not this case in every county in the country. It's much more this case west of the Mississippi, or the Louisiana Purchase land, the land we got out of the Mexican American War, and the stuff in the Midwest, like Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, Wisconsin, like all up there, like that region, generally tends to follow this kind of logic. Texas gets a little weird. Wyoming gets a little weird, but generally it follows this logic. So the book. This is book number 205. What do you mean by a book? Like, what does a book have to do with an APN number to a property? Well, if you go to your local county recorder's office, and if they're real old school and they don't have it all digitized yet, they've got a bunch of books. And these books are serious books. I mean, just like red or green books, big old sucker, like bigger than a phone book. You pull it out, put it on the table. You need like a table to open this thing. And 205 is book number 205. They probably started with book number 1 back in the day, the first book, and they didn't think they'd probably ever have more than one book. Well, book 1 blew up and they got book 2, and then book, it kept growing. And so they got new books covering the different land in the county. And so you open that book and you see a bunch of pages. And this particular one would be page 13 of book 205. So page 13 is a location. It's where you're going to find a map. And so this is a reference number to where that map of the property is in the county records. And it also refers back to the number, the property number, right? So here is the page that the map is on. And when you look at the map, you're going to have the property number, property 372, split B. So 372, split B. Now, if we go back and where's this property? So I'm going to see if I can pull up, I'm going to pull up this will cost me $1.25 or something, but I think it'll help the presentation. So I'm going to go pull up the map of this particular property. And so I get this report, blah, blah, blah. Better have the map. Of course, I pull one that doesn't have the map. Yeah. Well, this one, usually these reports have the map in there. This one doesn't have the map. So I was going to show you a map. I'll just make one up. So it'll look like, let's say this was the page, right? This is probably the page breaks here. And it's got all these properties, and all these properties have different numbers on it. And this one would have a number in the middle of it that'll say that 372. And then as it gets split from there, people draw lines through it. There might be like a table on the side of the map that has a whole bunch of little writing. Like this one was split 3 ways, 4 ways. It was split into this. And so the map gets updated over time as the splits happen. And so that's the older way of doing it. The modern way of doing it is they kept this number nomenclature and they have digitized it. So now it's in a GIS system, and they use a mouse and they draw a line from one side to the other, where the line should be when the property is split. And then they make a new APN number. Instead of this, they say, okay, let's split it in half, for example. And then they make a C. So now we got the original property is a B, and then the new one's a C. And so that's how it gets split. And then the thing gets split again. Let's say the C gets split. And the C gets split, and they make a D, and they go on, and it goes on and on. And so these numbers keep going. And then if they run out of letters, they change something else. They give a new number. And they usually skip O because it looks like a 0, and they skip a couple other ones. I think, because it looks like a 1, but generally they just run with the numbers besides the letters that look like numbers. So why am I telling you this? Okay, so if you understand that logic, you can go price land in an area that is much more specific than just the county. And that's what I was presenting. So let's say I knew the price of properties in this area. If they're this kind of acreage, then I think they're worth this much money, and I'd offer that much money. Well, how do I get the data for the properties that are just in this area? Well, if I took the property from the whole county and I wanted to like mail cash offers to everybody in this whole region, stuff from like up here in Prescott to down here in the mountains or way up north in Yavapai County, like up by Seligman or something where it's really cheap, I'm not going to send them the same price, right? If I send them the same price, people are going to yell at me down here and everybody's going to accept my offer up there. It doesn't make any sense. So let's go back to this. If we know that this is the book, this is the page, this is the property number, and this is the split, what would happen if we just searched, what would happen if we just searched everything here and we got all the splits? Let's see. So where am I? Let's go back to the software. And so we got the APN number, and you can do it in this software. Other software won't let you do that. That's why I point to this software. It'll use a truncated version of the APN number. Let's see what happens. Let's work our way out. Okay, so we only got 2 of them, only 2 properties. So what happens if we drop the 2 off the end and we leave it at 37? Oh, now we got 24 properties. What happens if we drop the 7 off of there? We just leave the 3. Oh, we got 235 properties, all in the same area, stemming from the same original properties, probably children of the original one. Bunch of different names in there, bunch of different people own different properties. They all probably look about the same. You could probably price them about the same, take into account their size and other attributes, but you could probably take a set of properties like this and apply a price to it and offer them that much and see if they take it. Let's say I wanted to get a little bit broader. Let's just do the book and the page. Book 205, page 13. Got 736 properties. 736 properties. Now, do I want to price them all the same? I don't know. I mean, you look at the map and you look at the market and you compare and contrast and see what you want to price them. Let's just look at book 205. So we'll truncate that APN down a little bit more. So book 205, 2,867 properties in that book. So that book, it doesn't show them all on the screen because they're on different pages. You got to like click through different pages down here. But you can look at where they're at. You can flip through these pages, 15 properties at a time and see where they're at. Oh, they're still in the same area. They're still in the same area. As I keep going, they're not going to be in the same area. These are starting to get to deserts. These aren't up in Mount Union anymore. That might be too broad. I don't think I want to price these all the same. These ones up the mountains are probably getting different pricing than the ones down here. And I'll go look at the market and see what the stuff's trading for and price it accordingly. And if I continuously do that through the whole county, I can price all the land in the county quite effectively and make them cash offers that I'd be happy to pay if they accept my offer. And I could buy the land, I could put it up for sale, and I could have the cheapest land in the market. And so I think doing that allows us to cover a lot more area and get a lot more accurate at buying land. And so you guys buy land, you guys sell land on the website. Thanks for that. And so hopefully you can use that idea to go buy a bunch more land and just get more accurate at pricing it. So that was part of what I presented. The other part of what I presented was back office software to keep track of all these deal flows. And so like deals coming in, deals going through it and coming out the other end. Let me see if I can kind of give you a map. See if I can do this live. So I got this business management software. It's called Jura. It's made by some Australians. And this is probably too small to see on the screen, but I'll try to talk the way through it and you can kind of understand it from there. So up here, I've got a circle, right? And so this is my business flow. And it gets more intuitive as I go. So what I do is take that idea of sending out cash offers to hundreds of thousands of people across the area that you want to buy land in. Now, what the heck do you do with all those offers? How do you keep track of them all, right? I think that's the secret sauce. So I put them into this software. And I've got a backlog of all the offers that I've made, hundreds of thousands of offers, and it's called my backlog. And then people call back and they say, don't ever mail me again. Like, okay, so I put them in my do not mail thing so I can scrub them out going forward. I don't have to waste mail on them. Other people say, nah, it offers too low or blah, 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 blah. I put them in I change the status of my deal to rejected. And someone else says, yeah, I'll take your offer. I'm like, okay, so then I put it in accepted offer. So that's the blue stuff's the good stuff. I don't know, the coloration's kind of weird. Green is like, goodbye, go away, get out of my face. So blue stuff, accepted offer. Like, okay. And then I start researching it, see if I'm totally going to go for it or not. And if I'm going for it, I'm buying it. So it goes into buy it. And then I try to buy it, take it through title shop, do all due diligence stuff, go. And then I buy it. And then it goes to marketing. And I go market, it goes up on the website. And, if it sells, it goes to sell. If someone wants to buy it on terms, it goes to sold on terms. And it's stuck in there as they're making their terms. And if they want to go do a title, through title, I do title, sell it through title. Eventually it's sold. So when it's in the sold box, then I'm doing the checks. I'm checking to make sure the taxes are paid. I'm checking to make sure it's actually transferred into the person's name and the deeds have been done. And everything's been done after the transaction before I put it to sold, and I get it out of my face and I move on to the next one. So this business flow of stuff, and the properties go bouncing around in here, and they get different people working on them, get different notifications, and different investors get updates along the way as to what properties they're invested into, or mailers they're invested into, or however they're working on these. Different people answering the phones can see, we can all be on the same page of what's going on with this property. You got notes and history and stuff. I mean, I can see someone calls back and says, I want to take your offer. I can see I've mailed them 3 offers in the past, like 20,000, 25,000, 35,000. They finally take it at 35,000 or something, right? Over the course of time. And so I could track it. I can see it. If somebody wants some particular property and they're like, I want something like this, I can go look at the ones that I've mailed in the past, and they said, they accepted my offer, but I didn't take it because they wanted too much money, or something was goofy, or something, something. I can go search my database for old deals, and I can figure them out from there and go make them happen. I got the people's contact information. I got all kinds of paperwork on the properties, pictures of the properties and things. I'm not going to start pulling up the actual deals on the screen live here, but this is a cartoon of the way the deals are flowing through the system. In the presentation we were in 2 weeks ago, I was got a little more detailed than this, but it gives you an idea what the presentation was. So Patricia and Joe, if you guys wanted to set something like this up for your business, for your land deal and business, I can give you the map and the guys to set it up. And I got this guy in Pakistan who's really good at making this happen. And he could probably set it up for you overnight if you wanted to. And so, yeah, let's hit the comments and see where we're at. Paul Baker, do you know if any of the required septic well property owners that will add that cost to owner financing payments? Let's see. So let me think about that. Let's go back to the website here for a sec. So he's asking if any of the properties doing payments, if any of the guys will add septic and well costs to the payments. I kind of doubt that. I don't want to do that on my deals. It's a lot riskier. It's not really the business I'm in. You can ask them, you can try it, but I haven't done it on the payments. I've added it to title closes. If someone wants to cook it into a title close and they're putting down a deposit that makes sense and stuff. Usually when they're trying to get it wrapped into financing with banks or with someone else, then I think it starts making more sense. But yeah, I haven't done it with owner financing. Tom and Patricia, we would like to learn about Jura and how you manage your deals. Okay, yeah, so I just showed you a little snippet of Jura. We should probably get on the phone or something if you want to get deeper into it. Thank you in advance, Patricia, with land addiction. Thanks, Patricia. Patricia, probably mess up your name. But Lisa first name said, do you see me waving? LOL, Yavapai County, going to the casino. Nice. Yeah, go hit the casino up, see if you could buy that Yavapai County one. Hey, just wondering how the paperwork in Chakut, Arkansas is coming along. Any updates on getting everything cleared? So Corey, I think Corey just bought one of the properties. And yeah, so I'm processing paperwork in Chakut, and I'm getting them through people that aren't paying taxes, right? So the people that don't pay the taxes, they have one last shot as I do this to come back and pay the taxes and keep the property. But they haven't been paying the taxes, and they haven't been keeping up with it for years and years and years and years by the time I get these things. Like 5 years plus, right? And so most likely they're in jail or dead, or title is too much of a mess. Even if they do pay it off, they don't actually own it anymore. I mean, that's the case with a lot of these. So the chances of them really coming back and paying off the taxes and keeping the properties is pretty slim to none. But I've had it happen in the past, like maybe 2 times out of 400 or something. It doesn't happen very often. That's what I'm trying to say. But maybe it happens more because some of the newer properties we got on here have like houses on them. So I don't know if you saw that, guys. So let me throw that up on the screen. So some of these properties we got, yeah, like look at this. So here's one on the website, realvacantland.com. I mean, it's not a fancy house or anything, but it's a house. You know, there's a house, somebody's parking there. Like they've been using it, at least when the Google guy drove by. I mean, it might be burned down and gone by now, but it was there when the pictures were taken. It's just satellite pictures of the house. Looks like a C-shaped kind of thing. There's street view. Let's go do street view. Where are we? Yeah. So here's the house. I mean, it almost looks like there's someone sitting there on the porch. Kind of looks like there's someone sitting there on the porch, actually. Some chairs, some firewood. It's an old house. I mean, maybe she just really didn't get the mail and pay the taxes, or maybe I don't know. Maybe it's not her house. She hasn't been paying the taxes, and the taxes aren't very much. But there's a house. How much was I asking for this one? $3,999, for a house. So maybe she says, okay, I finally got to pay the taxes because Luke Smith bought the thing. But I doubt it. I really doubt it. So $399 or $3,999, you get a house and you go figure it out. I mean, if you're in the area, go drive by, take a look at it, knock on the door or whatever. Tell them to pay the taxes. Pay the taxes, keep it. Like that's just the way it is. Here's another house. $2,999. This picture looks like the house is missing. But if we go street view. I'm on the wrong side of the street, I think. Yeah, there's your house. So there's the house. Where'd it go? I just gotta laugh looking at these things. This is an ugly house. It's an ugly house, but it's $2,999. Just go for it. So that could be a fun one. Go work on, go fix it up. I mean, I got a jack. I could probably jack that roof up, maybe put a new beam in there, put some new supports in, go to Home Depot, get some new windows and doors. Might just cement in put a whole new structure on that porch and pour cement around it, just make it disappear under some new cement, or just rip it out. I don't know. Just rip that side off. What would you have to do to get the thing to be rentable? How much would you have to spend? I don't know. But I bet you it's got utilities. Like there's utilities right here. Someone used to live in there. I mean, it's got a big old transformer right up above us. And a street light. Telecommunications right there. a paved street, $2,999. We got some cheap ones coming in. So maybe someone pays the taxes on this house, whoever it is, and I don't get to actually sell it. But it takes a little bit of time between doing all the paperwork and waiting for the taxes, the tax window, to know that we totally own it. And that's why I'm asking that you wait till we get the deeds to you before you go bulldoze the house or work on it or whatever. So I've got it contracted in. It's just not 100%. It's like 99.99% that you're going to get it. So just wait for the paperwork to come through on these. Okay. Eric Canson. Hey, Luke, great topic today. Jura sounds like a mini assembly line for real estate. Yeah, exactly. Guys, I've been getting beat up over the last couple of years because I have a hard time keeping track of all the deals and all the paperwork on all the deals and all the moving parts to all these deals. And so someone started recommending Jura to me as a business management solution to keep track of these things. And he's a really smart person, and he presented it really well to me, and he didn't ask for any money, or he wasn't trying to sell it or anything. He's just saying, Luke, I'm trying to help. Like, this is how you could do it better. And I think he's dead right. And so I started working on it, and I started setting it up and figuring it out. It's getting a lot better. I think I got a long ways to go to be able to keep track of all this in a much more efficient manner, but it's happening. We can just start jamming volume through there, hundreds, thousands of properties. And so that's the idea. Tom and Patricia, yes, thank you, Luke. I really appreciate your time. Tom will contact you directly. Yeah, so Tom, give me a call, and we'll talk about setting up Jura. I can get you the right people to set it up. You can just copy it, and then you can edit it from there to customize it to your business. They don't charge you much to actually run the software. It's like $10 a month or something if you have less than 10 users. Then it kicks up from there over time. Corey says, trying to figure out Arkansas laws for the time they have to redeem their properties was a bit of a struggle. I was getting mixed results between the state tax auction and local county. Yeah, so Corey, let me explain the timelines from my understanding. I'm not an attorney, but from my understanding. So when I buy one of these things, I get a letter from the state that says, yes, we agree to sell it to you, but we're going to sell it to you after 30 days have gone by. So the transaction happens 30 days after the agreed upon agreement. And then 10 days after that agreed upon transaction date, that's 30 days after the first agreement, there's a window where the person can pay the taxes. So effectively it becomes 40 days after the state agrees to accept the thing. So the time starts ticking from when they accept it to 40 days out. And the state keeps track of that, and they police that and everything. And then after the 40 days, the state writes a deed, and they deed that property from the state to me, to my company that bought it. That deed goes to the county clerk, whatever county that is. And there's a Chilkoot County, for example, and they record it. The state pays for the recording. They get it recorded. And then that recording is sent to the address that's on there. It's a record. It'll be my address, my business. And then I'll get that piece of paperwork back. So there's a bunch of time in there that we could be waiting for the mail to happen, waiting for the timeline to go by before I actually get that deed in hand. But when I got that deed in hand, or a letter, sometimes they'll send you a letter that says, oh, the person paid the taxes, or something went wrong, some random whatever. But generally you get the deed. So when I got that deed, then I'm okay to deed that property to you. And so some of these counties, I've got electronic recording. I can make that deed, get it notarized, my local notary, and it usually takes me about a day to do that now, because I give him like a stack of deeds with all my, he's got my photo ID, he's got all my information, because I go there like every day. And in California, you got a book, and you have to fill out a whole bunch of stuff about every notarization that happens. And so I do all acknowledgments. He's acknowledging my signature. It's not a jurat where I'm like swearing in front of him. So they're all acknowledgments. And so I give him the acknowledgement. He acknowledges that's Luke Smith signing. That's Luke Smith signing again and again and again. So I hand him a pile of them, and I come back the next day. The next day I got another pile of them, right? And so I'm handing in that, and he's giving me the old ones that are all notarized. And then I go stamp the book, flip the page, stamp, maybe a thumbprint for each one of them, fill in all the information. I made stamps for him so he can like stamp the book. He doesn't have to handwrite it all out because we do it so many times. And you just grind through a whole bunch of those. So I get those deeds back, I bring them back to my house, and I scan them, and I scan them up, and the ones that we can do digitally, where we get recorded with the counties digitally. The ones where I have to mail them into the county, I mail them into the county. And the ones that I have to mail them in, I'm not sure if I can do digital in Chakotay County or not. I don't know off the top of my head, but I can look into it. The ones that I'm mailing in, I put a self-addressed, or not self-addressed, I put an address to you envelope in there with postage on it, and I write on the deed that after recording, return to, and it's got your name and address and stuff. And so the county sends you that deed. The digital ones that I'm uploading and getting recorded digitally, they come back through my software, and I get like a PDF of these things with a stamp on them in the upper right hand corner, the date it's recorded, the numbers and all that kind of stuff, that it's recorded in the county. You can call the county and you can confirm it with all the numbers. You can check on it and everything. I email that to you and say, here's your recorded deed. Some people ask me to print it out and mail it to them. I do that too, but usually I just email it to you. And that's it. You own the thing. So once you get that in the mail or emailed to you, you got through the whole process. The person has no chance of coming back, paying the taxes, getting the property back after that happens. The one other thing that could happen with these Arkansas properties that I really, really, really doubt happens is the IRS. If there's IRS tax liens on the person that used to own that property in the past, the IRS has 120 days after the transaction date to redeem that property, to come back after us, right? So they've got a limited timeline, 120 days. And what they've got to do is they've got to post it publicly for auction if they want to take that property away. And so the cost of them doing that is usually more than the kinds of properties we're talking about. They've had a bunch of time to do this before this transaction. They haven't done it. But if you really, really, really want to get rid of the IRS potentially coming back, they've never taken one of these properties from me, these Arkansas style properties, is you can contact them and you can say, okay, I understand there might be an IRS lien on this property. Let's start the 120 days. And you get it confirmed with them that they're starting the clock on it. And because they don't know that this is happening, they don't keep track of everything so well, right? They don't have Jura business management software. But you can tell them and you can get that clock started. So if you want to be smoky, sweet, clean on your property, you should do that after you get the thing in your hands. You should go tell them to start the 120 days. They'll do the 120 day window, and you'll get like letters and stuff later on that says that they didn't act, they didn't do anything on it, they didn't try to collect, because it's such a small dollar compared to what they're trying to do. But if you're buying like a $100,000 house and it's got, a tax auction or something, and the IRS wants to come back and collect 50 grand, they're probably going to take that $100,000 house to auction, and so you're in a different boat in those scenarios. But I think these couple $100,000 properties in Arkansas, it's just not going to happen. I've never seen it happen, but there's a theoretical chance that it could. So that's part of it too. That was for Corey asking about the timelines. And that's why nobody seems to explain the different levels of complexity on that timeline. That's to my understanding. Okay, BitMEX Trade says that might be a tough rental to manage. Rough tenant base. Yeah, exactly. I used to have some rentals in Detroit. Well, I sold them all now, but my sister would manage them, and they're Detroit, right? So you gotta like guard those houses when they're empty, or else they get robbed. People they steal everything. They'll steal a light switch, $1.25 light switch. I shouldn't laugh, but they do. Um, and so one of the tenants we had, nice lady, her brother, I think it was her brother, was getting out of jail, and she he was gonna come stay with her. He didn't have anywhere to stay, and she was saying, he needs work, like he needs work, right? He just out of jail, he needs a job, and it's like, what do we do with him? Well, she says he can clean. So okay, we got him cleaning houses, so we buy these houses, and he's working on cleaning them. Said, and for lack of a name, I don't know if we ever got his real name. He just went by Mike Tyson because he looked exactly like Mike Tyson, with tattoos and everything. And so we always called him Mike Tyson. So Mike Tyson would stay in the house while the house is empty and clean it. I mean, he's used to like prison cleaning, like toothbrush style cleaning. I mean, it'd take forever, but he cleaned the places immaculately clean, like way too much detail clean for the tenant base of these houses. And just did a really, really good job. And he was also like to paint, so he would paint the houses too. And he'd paint the whole thing with like a little tiny brush, just paint them like perfect lines. Did a really good job. And but he would stay in the houses. Um, he was kind of institutionalized because he's been in jail his whole life, right? He didn't know what else to do. He didn't like to talk to people or go anywhere or anything. My brother-in-law went by a garage sale and bought a TV and a VCR and a box of videos, and gave that to him. That was like his biggest joy in life. And he would sit in the front window of these houses and watch the same video over and over and over again, and nobody would rob the house. And it was amazing. It was perfect until he got it rented out, and they moved into the next house, start cleaning and painting the next house until we got the tenant moved in there. You just got to get creative. There's always ways of doing it. Then later on, I thought, when my sister said he's really good at collecting rent, I thought it was because of like, he pulls out the guns and says, pay me or else. It wasn't that case. So a lot of our tenants tended to be female and single and with kids. And he would go to collect the rent because a lot of them were Section 8. And so they'd pay, $600-700 would come from the government or something. Another $100 or $200 would come from them every month. And it was like, okay, as long as the government pays, we're cool. The rest of it's all just gravy. But he would go collect the $100, $200 or whatever above and beyond Section 8 that the tenants are supposed to be paying. And they loved to see him. Oh, Mike Tyson or whatever his name was. And they just get sweet on him and flirt with him and thought he was the best ever. And just, he was a hot guy, right? And that's how he collected rent. So that was the best trick of collecting rent in Detroit. And in those houses, there's always a way to do it. Where there's a will, there's a way. My sister figured that out. It wasn't me. She's a lot better at that than I am. Okay, so Frenchie, I would buy those, rebuild them, and rent them. Yeah, exactly. There's always somebody that comes along and likes to rent a house like this, or rent to own. There's lots of ways of doing it. The dog's moving one of my lights. But yeah, you could fix it up and rent it out. Go see what the rent yields are in the area. See how much it costs to fix it up. I bet you labor and supplies are really cheap. That was always one of the things I thought was the funniest about Detroit. I don't know if it's the funniest. Like the furnace would get stolen, or the hot water heater would get stolen, right? You could get a new, not new, but like a used new hot water heater and furnace delivered and installed in like a day's notice. It's so fast and so cheap. They're probably just stolen from the house next door, but it goes around, comes around, I guess. The last house I sold in Detroit was I had it in title, and had this lady. It wasn't Mike Tyson who was staying there. Had this lady that was staying there and was paying her to stay in the house while it was vacant. And that's like backwards rent, in between tenants, you got to pay people to stay there. And the the lady left to get groceries. Like that day, she was gone. In the middle of the day, someone came in and stole the furnace and the water heater. She came back and it was stolen. And this was like a Friday, and title was supposed to close on Monday. And oh no, what do I do? And so we got, one of the classic guys that's good at replacing furnace and water heater over there, and he got a new furnace and water heater there on Saturday, and installed and plumbed up, ready to go, and replaced the old ones, $1,500. So Saturday, $1,500 for furnace and water heater delivered, installed. Like where else can you get that? I mean, like any of you guys know prices. No, that just doesn't happen. But Detroit, I mean, it happens. So you get a market like this house we're talking about. Let me pull this ugly bugger back up on the screen. And services, products and services are probably really cheap in this area to go fix something like that up. Iowawa. I once had a tenant in El Cajon, California that would not pay the rent. Had to evict, and he tore the new hot water heater out and left it in the front yard with copper pipes sticking out. There you go. Yeah, classic. Thank you for the info. Hope this helps others buying in the county as well. Very excited to get out there. Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Corey. Thanks for buying one of the properties. That's awesome. Adam, from El Cajon. There you go. Now located in Colorado. Hopefully it wasn't Adam that threw the hot water heater out. Frenchie, do you currently own the Arkansas properties, or are you waiting for the 40-day period plus the 120? Frenchie. So, good question. So I bought these things. I paid for them. They took the money. The state agreed to transfer them into my name. There's the caveats of the 40-day period in there. And then the 120-day is, I mean, they're both maybes. They both could maybe happen, but I don't want to wait 40 plus 120 days to put the things up for sale. I'd rather tell you guys there's a chance these things come through, and it's a risk you take on. I mean, I'd probably just give you different properties or refund you, or we'll figure it out. For the few times that it ever might actually happen, I don't think it's that big of a deal. But we're not going to get title insurance on them. Like it just won't happen. Like if we try to transfer one of these things through a title company, like this house, if we try to put this house through a title company, they're not going to do title insurance on it because of that 120-day window with the IRS. If we waited out the 40-day, even if it's like a year or two later, they're like, oh, you got it at a tax auction. No, we're not going to do title insurance. But if you're logical about it and you go talk to the IRS, say, hey, you guys going to take this thing away? They'll probably just say no, or start the stupid window, start the 120-day window, and get the letters from them. Even then, the title company won't process it, even when the IRS says they're not going to take it away, because it's from a tax auction. It's just not that it makes sense, just the way it is. So that's why you can get them cheap. It's priced in there. Luke, thanks for the insights. Do you find land out there with 10 plus acres? So these Arkansas properties in the tax auctions, no, not the bigger acreage. I mean, people will grab those up probably before I ever get around to them. They probably grab them out of the actual auctions. I mean, these properties, like this house, is beyond the auction. Like the auction happened years and years ago for this house. And it's not till years and years later that I came along and figured it out and did the paperwork to buy this. I mean, anybody could have bought this house like anywhere along the time for years and years and years and years. This thing's been up for sale. Nobody's done anything. Probably because they don't see it this way. They're looking at like a number on a list of other numbers, and they're not doing the due diligence on each specific number to figure the property out. Okay. There's Donut Hole. Do you have a general rule of thumb on what makes you decide how much to offer on a tax deed property? It's a good question. How much to offer on a tax deed property? Yeah, so these Arkansas ones, for example, I tried every number on the, like any number out there. I mean, I tried $5 and $10 and $15 and $20 and on up, right? I just tried every number. on the board. And I looked at what they accepted, and then I started learning what their costs are to process these properties, right? Like they've got a base cost, like a harmonic, they don't go below this number. And if you give them that number, no one else is competing against you because the things have been sitting there for years. It's yeah, I just keep offering that same number. So I just get that number, probably the lowest number they ever give these things away for, because I've done so many of them, I figured out what that number is. So now we're just buy out the whole state basically, and there won't be any of them left that make sense. Yoawa says, Adam, I used to live in San Diego, now in peaceful Iowa. There we go. Adam Mixel, I am now located in Loveland, Colorado. That's amazing. Sweet. I just got paperwork from land commissioner. They accepted the offer we sent. Thanks again, Luke. Nice. Good. So Adam had, that's good. That's a good follow-up. So Adam bought some land in the past, and something was wrong with it. And instead of, I think he bought 2 properties. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, Adam, but I think he bought 2 properties, and one of them the title got funky on, and it didn't work. And the other one I think we got cleaned up and fixed. So there were 2 of them that were messy, and I gave him, I think it was 3 other properties. So I gave him 3 other properties to make up for the 2 that were funky, and I think one of the 2 got fixed. So he paid for 2 properties, ended up getting 4 properties, if I'm thinking of that right, or maybe he ended up with 3. He ended up with 3 or 4 properties, but the idea is he ended up with more land than he started out for. But he went through some paperwork that took a while on a messy deed, and for his patience, I got him more land, extra land on top of it. So that was the idea. Thanks, Adam. Thanks for being patient. We figured it out. So let's jump back to the website. Got a couple new properties coming in. Thanks for all the questions and comments, guys. I think this is awesome. That's my favorite part of doing this. It's just a good time to do questions and comments for everybody. Now the screen won't let me out of here because I've got too much. Okay, there we go. So let's get back to the list. So look at that. Some new properties showing up on the website while I'm talking. So we got some more. El Paso County, $2,860 for half an acre. Someone was just asking for West Texas property, and I bet you this is Curtis posting this one up. Curtis keeps coming up with these West Texas properties. Curtis, there we go. So half an acre, $2,860. Got to get the maps going on these. We'll get maps in here soon. 8 miles from Horizon, El Paso, Texas, $3,150 for 0.83 acres. Of course it doesn't. It gives me an error message. Here's some more Arkansas, some Chakut. The girls are back office is posting Arkansas while I'm talking too. So here's a couple more Arkansas properties coming up. So if you're signed up for some of the Arkansas properties and you finance some of them, you're probably seeing notes coming through as they're making ads on these things, or the links will start coming through the different postings. These properties, I got to go through and price them. But a lot of this is Chakut County, and there's other counties coming too. We're just processing them as we're going, and then we get into the one we started this video on. A couple houses, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with these houses. I've had houses and mobile homes and stuff in the past on here, and they sold really fast, and I got really good stories. Like every single one of them, people got back to me with good stories. One of the mobile homes I sold, I shouldn't laugh, but it's funny in retrospect. Sold this mobile home. It was, I don't know what I paid for it, like next to nothing. And I put it up for sale, street view pictures and stuff. And guy drove from like a day's drive to go over there. He bought the thing and he went over there to look at it like the same day. He drove like all night to get there. We got there first thing in the morning. And he started calling me. Like the sheriff was there, everyone showed up. He went to go look at the mobile, and the neighbors called the police on him, and they said he's here, he's back, or whatever. He's never been there before. And so I talked to the sheriff, and the sheriff's like, "What's going on? This is your property." I'm like, "Yeah, I just bought it. It's my property. I sold it to him. It's just doing the paperwork, transferring it to this guy that's touring the property. What's the big deal?" He says, "Well, this used to be a meth lab, and it like blew up, and it took out the roof, and so the roof was all blown out, and then with the weather, it came falling back in. So it's just like the outside shell of a mobile, and I sold it to him for I don't know how much, but." Like grandage. And the guy's like, it's totally not usable, and the sheriff's telling me about all the environmental concerns I'm gonna have to clean up on this thing before anybody could live there. And so I worked out a deal with the guy, lowered the price, priced it in there. He was gonna clean it all up and put it back together, build a new roof right over the top of the thing, and he was gonna fix it up and rent it out. And he did. He went for it, and he's asking for more of them. So it's just that was a funny call with the sheriff on there. It's like, your meth lab needs to be cleaned up by the. It's like, it's not my meth lab, man. I just got it. I had no idea. Oh, this one. So here's one. This one's got. I just keep laughing because it's fun, right? It's fun, and I don't know if it's funny, but it's fun. So this particular property is in Arkansas someplace, and I think this is Chilkoot County, or this might be Mississippi County. Let's see. Yeah, this is Chilkoot County. So Chilkoot County, Arkansas, and it's a classic lot on the street, right? And so if you drive up here and you do the street view of this thing, it's like, okay, so the house is back here in the woods. There's an empty lot next door, and there's some nice trees and stuff, and then they just never mowed their lawn. I mean, they just, the lawn went crazy. Here's the old driveway. It's totally overgrown. There's a house hiding back there in the trees somewhere. I mean, I wish I had one of these things on my street. I'd be all over it. So you bring your chainsaw to take a view of this one. This is just thick. I mean, you're going to have to like grind away on there just to get in and out. And then you'll see, you'll see if it's got windows and doors or what. I don't know if it's like Halloween haunted house special, or go find some bodies back in there or what. Just take a look at it. I mean, I didn't ask for much money. It's $4,999. I mean, you get a house, all the utilities for $4,999. I think that's pretty cool. We got numerous ones to choose from. Like, here's a pair of houses. I got two houses. I'm asking $499 for two houses. And it's two different APN numbers. You get this house and that house. I mean, some ugly houses, but I mean, they're houses, right? So if we take a look at this thing, this is across the street, and you can obviously park your motorhome and your boat and stuff in the yard without anyone complaining, because the neighbors are doing it. And then look over here. I mean, this looks like kindling. This looks like the kind of house that's, geez, it almost looks melted. Like maybe there was a fire. Maybe this one burned, and then they boarded it up, and it melted this one. Is this one burned? I don't know. But that one got messed up somehow. I don't know if it's salvageable or not. Might not even be there anymore. But it's got a driveway, and it's got the utilities. They got a propane tank next door. But they got, there's a street light and a, whatever you call that, transformer. And it looks like, I'm guessing sewer in the area, but I don't see a manhole cover right here. Somewhere along the street, there's probably one. It's like right there. Nope, that's a pothole. There might be one there. I don't know. Someone was living there. They figured out sewer or septic. They figured it out. They even got a hand water pump in the front yard. That's pretty cool. Okay, so there's a bunch of these properties on the website. There's a bunch more of them. I'm going to keep posting up, and we'll see how they come out. Get to hear the stories. People will buy them and take off with them, go see what's inside. Yeah, so I think it's time to give some land away. Oh, I had my list of things I was going to talk about. I didn't get through. I didn't get to the mailers. I got to do more mailers, guys. Basically, I wanted to talk about things I've been learning on previous mailers to try to make future mailers more effective. And yeah, I just got to do a bunch more mailers. I've promised to get mailers out there, and I haven't got them out there, and I got to do that. I got some of them, but not all of them out. Um, Dean McDonald, Luke, any other states with setup similar to the Arkansas Commissioner of State Land website? I was about to start combing them in Arkansas when you decided to buy them all in Arkansas. Yeah, Arkansas, they've got, so the next step in Arkansas would be to look at the properties that aren't the like really old ones. Um, let's see. There's a bunch in Arkansas that are non um, negotiable. So if you just pay all the back taxes on them, you can get them. I bet you get houses, nice houses, shopping centers, all kinds of stuff by paying the taxes. And it might be a couple $1,000s or tens of thousands of dollars in taxes or something. But if the asset's worth that much more, you can make a decision on that. You can make a nice business decision and run for it. I bet you there's a lot of deals in there. And then beyond that, I mean, you could go to the actual tax auctions in Arkansas. And Arkansas has auctions regularly, and you could hit them right out of the gate. So like the brand new ones that are getting taken away for people not paying their taxes, I think you'll probably get the choicest assets in there instead of the ones that have been sitting around forever and getting the really ugly houses like I'd go after for not much of any money. You could get probably really nice houses for paying some money but not crazy amounts of money. So I mean, look at that. But that doesn't answer the question. You're asking about other states with set up similar to Arkansas Commissioner of State Lands. I don't know any other states that have that similar setup, like a statewide system like that. But I mean, if you go to um, bidforassets.com, for example, you can do a lot of tax auctions there. And it'll be like Los Angeles County and a bunch of California counties and maybe some other counties, but a lot of California ones. So you could get some seriously valuable properties out of those by doing your homework and shopping through them and bidding accordingly. I think you're going to have a lot more competition in that regard than the others, but that's a possibility. Other states like Nevada has auctions. I've seen people hit up like the Elko County auctions. You still go in person. You do it in person and hit them up, and you could go sell a whole bunch of Elko County for the rest of your life if you hit one of those. Um, New Mexico, I think some of them are still in person. Like you go in person and do the auction and buy a bunch of properties. I mean, you can make lots of money buying up all those properties and selling them on the internet, just describing them right and things. Um, Other states like New York and Illinois that have a lot higher taxes, you can buy over-the-counter ones because people look at the bids and they're like, the taxes cost more than I want to pay for the property. So there's a lot of over-the-counter ones there. There's over-the-counter ones in Michigan. I've seen them in Michigan and different parts of Michigan. There's numerous counties. You got to go to the county-specific website to buy the Michigan ones. But if you go county by county, you can find some that are back tax properties you can buy, especially like Upper Peninsula or northeastern part of Lower Peninsula, and getting down into like Detroit kinds of areas. You get lots of the urban ones. I don't know if you want the urban ones, but there's a lot of them there. My sister buys houses religiously at tax auctions in Detroit. I mean, every this is October. I think there's one in September and then November. There might be one coming right up. I mean, she'll usually buy like 30 houses or something at one of those auctions. Um, and she fixes them up and rents them out. I mean, she cleans house at those auctions. They're getting more competitive in the Detroit market, but I mean, you could go hit Chicago and Toledo and all these different Rust Belt cities and figure out their auctions and pick up houses and shopping centers and warehouses and all kinds of assets for not a whole lot of money. Just have to be willing to do the due diligence and take on unknowns. Like, I don't know. That's what makes them an unknown, right? What's inside the building? Is it knee deep in water? It has been for years. You can't really go inside them and see before you buy them that way. Um, I mean, we still do in Detroit. You just take crowbar and just get out of there before the police have a chance to get there. It usually takes them 45 minutes to an hour and a half to get there anyway, right? Um, Not salvageable, in my opinion. There we go. Yeah. So some of these ugly houses saying not salvageable. That was righteous of you giving him more land due to the bad title. Yeah, it might have been my fault. The title was messed up. I don't know if that makes it righteous. Dean McDonald, great info. Thanks, Luke. Okay, thanks, guys. So let's. I love to give away land, right? And it'll probably be one of these goofy Arkansas properties, maybe something like the place you could put a mobile home or build a cabin in the woods, or some of these kinds of properties that keep selling on the website. So if you want one of those properties for free, I'll give one to you. You just got to answer a question. So I make a little game out of it, and I ask a question at the end of these live calls. If this is the first time you're watching, or if you've never been involved, I come up with a simple question, and then I'm going to do the seventh person today, because seven's a good number. I'm going to do the seventh person to answer that thing. Gets a free piece of land, and then I'll need you to email me. Gilian's email is in the description of this video. It's Gilian@ruralvacantland.com. My screens are all weird today. I don't think I'm going to type it in, but Gilian@ruralvacantland.com, and let's see if I can pull up. Let's see if I can get this going in the background. Yeah. Okay. So I think that's going to feed in there. So I got the chat's going by in the background. So I'm going to ask the seventh person, and so we got a bunch of these properties, a lot of these Arkansas properties that have been coming onto the website. The seventh person to say what county, and most of these new ones have been coming on from, I'll give you a piece of land. So what county? I said the name of the county numerous times throughout this video. Most of those houses are in, most of these different properties are in. And so the seventh person that goes by on my screen here, not because as the comments go by, they show up differently on different people's screens. And you don't have to spell it right because it's kind of weird spelling. So someone already got it. They started filling it in. So Dean says Shakut. Back to Basis says Shakut. Andrew says Shakut. Jason says Shakut. And I lost count already. So let's see if I can stop it. Okay, so Dean, back to basics. Andrew, Jason, back to basics. Okay, go. Will Blast. Let's do Will Blast. No, that's Baxter. You got the wrong county. The Fiddling Dog. So I'm going to skip Will Blast. I was thinking Will Blast had it, but he says Baxter. I've had a lot of Baxter in the past, but I was talking about this morning properties. So the Fiddling Dog, Shakut. Let's go with the Fiddling Dog. The Fiddling Dog, got it. Number 7 to answer this one. I'm going to go with you. So the Fiddling Dog, thank you. So the Fiddling Dog, please email Gilian, Gilian, at ruralvacantland.com and say, my username is the Fiddling Dog, and I won. Will Blast says, "Ah, shucks, yeah." The Fiddling Dog, put your information in there. So this is going to be a piece of land, and so the land is going to need your title. What name do you want to own this thing in? And so that name is going to be what the property is eventually going to go into. And I'm going to need your address to mail it to you. So mailing address, like old school mailing address. And your email would be nice to have in there because you're emailing it to me. I'll get that. Phone number would be nice in case I have questions or something, trying to fix something. And then I'm going to get this. I'm going to fill out the paperwork to get you a piece of property. I'm going to mail that paperwork to you. And then you've got to sign this thing because the state got mad at me for giving land away to people without them accepting it first. So you've got to sign it. And then, so you sign it that it's going into the name spelled right and everything on there. and that's the property you want, because that's the one I'm giving you, and I'm putting the money in there to pay for it, and the envelope to go to the state to get the thing. And so I'm going to get you a piece of property. You're going to see all the paperwork, and you see how it goes. And then if you get a letter from the state that says something like someone else is bidding on your property, or this one's already been sold, or the person that owned the property in the past paid their taxes, or something like that, please get in touch with me and tell me what the letter says. Or better yet, like, take a picture of it with your phone and text it to me, or send it to me, or email it to me so I can read it, and we can maneuver accordingly, either to get you a different piece of land, or figure out how to fix that one, or whatever it is, right? So send that over, and we'll make that happen. We'll get some land deeded into your name. And then what do you do with the land? You can go have fun with it. You can do whatever you want with it. Go over there, depending on the local regulations, do whatever you want that fits the local regulations. It's your land. It's in your name. You can do what you want. You could go sell it. You could put it on like Zillow, or you could put it on Craigslist or Facebook or whatever, or sell the thing if you want to sell it. You could come back to me and ask me to sell it. I'll try to sell it. We'll do some paperwork, and I'll ask for 50% of the profits on there if you want me to sell it, but I'll go put it up. And Vibes of Truth says, please start listing properties in Canada. There we go. But I'll try to get the thing sold the best I can, and split the profits with you. So we could turn it into cash if you don't want to go build something on it or make something happen with it. Maybe it's just a second property, or maybe save it for your kids or grandkids or whatever. I don't know. It's your property. You can do whatever you want. But if you want to sell it, I'm an option. I'm over here. I'll help you sell it. Thank you. Thanks everybody for listening, for watching. We'll do it again Monday next week. And so someone said start listing properties in Canada. Canada, it's a lot harder to get the data on the properties compared to the US. The US usually has the cheapest properties in the world. It's just and the best data. I don't know anywhere else you can get the data that you can get in the US and the prices that you can get in the US. It's just, so if I knew how to figure it out in Canada, I'd work on it and try to figure it out, but I just don't. I don't know how to do it. I think it's over my head. I think we specialize in knocking the US out first. So thank you. Thanks everybody. Talk to you again later. See you in the next one. Bye. I gotta figure out what this software's got new buttons.